I'm going to use the most recent Ravens film that we have, their win in Denver over the Broncos from last week, to complete my Patrick Queen film study. But first, just a shout out to two new Patreon subscribers, Mike and Dre. I appreciate you guys' support. And one thing that I noticed in watching film of Patrick Queen from the whole season is not just he's in a bad stance, just to put it bluntly, but he gets in his stance late, often. And when you get in your stance late, your footwork is messed up because you're trying to catch up mentally to what you see happening because you're a half step behind already. He's a half step behind right there. His left foot isn't in the ground and the ball's snapped already. Now his footwork isn't terrible. It kind of does look like he crosses over there. I'll rewind it so you can see it again. And he's not involved in the play here. I'm just using this to show you that he gets aligned late and gets in a bad stance late sometimes. His foot's still in the air while the ball is being snapped. He's reading the guard who's pulling, so he's getting a good read. One of the things I think I've noticed is that he reads better with more certainty when the quarterback is under center. And he doesn't react abruptly sometimes when he's wrong in his read. What I mean is, like, compare how Harrison just took off and jetted once he realized that the quarterback still had the ball to the way Queen kind of half speed went back in his drop. All right, this is going to be a run play. I believe that Queen is reading this guard or in the shotgun. So it's a run play. He moves the lineman over by clapping his hands. His stance is a little bit better, but his hands are still on his legs, and that's no good. Harrison's in a much better stance. Look at their footwork as well. Look at Harrison step with the play side foot, which is his right foot, whereas Queen does a hop step. And Harrison's the play side guy. Queen is the backside guy. So Harrison has to hit it downhill more abruptly, okay? And then Queen ends up with this guard or this lineman in his lap, so he's got some trash in his way. Luckily, the nose tackle does a nice job playing this backdoor, front door technique. Backdoor means I'm going to stay in the backside A until I need to go to the front door and help out on the tackle. Queen didn't read it terribly. His footwork is bad, though. So let's extrapolate that real quick. If his first two steps are poor or inconsistent, it shouldn't surprise us that he has inconsistent footwork and technique with his tackling as well, right? I think I watched 42 plays from this, and I think I'm safe saying this, that his awareness is pretty poor sometimes. He's reading this guard again, looks the same as the play we just had a moment ago. This is an RPO, though. He's been RPO'd by the Raiders, he's been RPO'd by the Chiefs, and now by the Broncos. And you can see also that the ball is out. He has no awareness of it. He knows that it's not given to the running back, but he spends way too much time gathering himself back up to get back involved in the play. I kind of talked about that a little bit with the Hunter Renfrow catch where he stood and watched for a couple seconds before deciding to run again. You'll get an idea of how much space he gives up. I would say that he should be slow playing this if he's on the side of the back, meaning he should be reacting slow and kind of sitting. Look at the space there. Not saying that he should be guarding that tight end, but he's really overreacted and overcommitted to this, especially since he has the back on his side and there's a condensed receiver on the other side of the formation. But I'm not sure he has awareness of that. I've just never seen the point of letting players up on the line of scrimmage get aligned like this. Everyone else is in a good stance, ready to strike. And if you're not in a stance ready to strike with your hands, I don't think that's a good stance. I know he's guarding the running back here. He kind of actually overruns it a little bit and then reaches out and grabs the running back so he doesn't get run past him. He's what some people I know would call a drifter, meaning he drifts too far forward sometimes or he drifts too far laterally sometimes when you don't want him to, and he gets slightly out of position. Now his athleticism made up for it. In this case, he was able to guard the running back. Okay, here's another example of him getting lined up late. It is a little over 3 seconds before he finally does get lined up. And when he finally does get in a stance, which he's in a good stance now finally, the ball's already been snapped. And that's just a bad habit. I just find it hard to believe that no one in the Ravens coaching staff is bringing these things up consistently. And, of course, he's beat, but I think that's related to his feet at the beginning of the play. He's just setting his feet when the ball is snapped, and this receiver is taking off running. At 30 yards, he's beat by 2 yards. I know that tight end's got good speed, but Pat Queen does too. All right, so here's going to be an empty set against the Chiefs, and I just think he's put in bad position. There's a couple jokers in the comments section that really have no idea what it takes to coach and put players in position to succeed. This nickel corner is going to blitz. We're bringing 5. We're only covering with 2 there. There's trips there, which means 3 receivers. So how do you cover it? Well, you don't, right? If you don't know, this is Pringle's long touchdown catch. Queen's not being put in position to succeed here, nor is the entire defense as a whole. We're jamming Kelsey up down here on the bottom side. That's great, but we got 2 over 3 there. Those numbers don't work. If this is basketball and we're playing defense with 2 and they got 3, it's a fast break layup for the other team. This is the same thing. This is essentially a fast break layup because it was that easy. Sometimes it's not the player making the mistake that should be blamed. Sometimes it's the coaches. In this case, it's Pat Queen. So as you watch this develop, he drifts a little bit with Kelsey, who's in motion. If this was an RPO, we should have given the ball to the back. He didn't. And Queen is in no position body-wise to make the tackle. Tries a shoulder barge on a bigger man. Doesn't wrap up. Doesn't drive his legs at all. You'll see him move out with Kelsey when Kelsey comes back in this return motion. And it looks like he's playing on skates as he gets here to Kelsey. I mean, it literally looks like he's got skates on it, and when he's on ice, he's slipping. So he's just not getting his body in good positioning to make contact, and he just needs a reboot with that skill. Probably a lot of time spent as a pullout in practice, meaning other guys are working their drills, and he's practicing tackling. Look, we can't create a player. It's not Madden, so we got to go with what we got, especially with all the injuries. This is a good run read. This is going to be stretched to his right. The angle he takes initially, from here where we are from the end zone angle, it looks like he crosses over. He doesn't. He's just crossover running, and Chuck Clark and Justin Houston make an amazing play. That one wasn't bad, to be honest with you, in terms of a run read. This is another nice play. This is a team defense concept. He's giving himself up by picking the left tackle or attempting to. Of course, he gets KO'd, and I chronicled this in another video earlier in the week. You got to appreciate him giving himself up for the team, because there are selfish people who would not do this or wouldn't do it well, so then they would not be asked to again in the future. We've all got people like that at our jobs, right? They're asked to do something, they do a crappy job of it, and they never get asked again. Here's another good read under center, just like the Chiefs run play. I think he reads things better when the quarterback is under center. Not sure why. He's either reading this guard or the running back. He had a clear lane to see him and quickly identifies that it's pass and gets out in his drop. Now, in terms of his pass drops, in the video I talked about the other day, he's a guy who needs to be told to find work, meaning don't just cover grass, find work. So get your head on a swivel. He kind of does there, but he has a bad habit of locking eyes on the quarterback and having zero awareness of the routes being run around him. Here's another good read under center. He's probably reading this back. Even though he's late to the tackle, this is a good read, but still his footwork is bad. His stance is a little bit better. Hands are on his knees. But as this develops, and we run it a couple times, watch him false step. So he does not step with the play side foot, he understeps. And then his second step is an overstep. That's natural. Look at his right foot. He's crossed himself over, and this back is getting ready to put his foot in the ground and come back to our left or Queen's right. Luckily, there's no trash to get in his way, no lineman to get up to him, so he's unimpeded, and he can get involved in the tackle late. One thing I'd like to point out is Calais Campbell is still a man. We're going to rewind this so you can see it again. I'm not sure if you're aware of it. He's been playing extremely well so far. They should watch him just deck this guard. All right, this last one is going to be a play-action pass concept where he looks like he'd be the play side guy if it was a run play. His footwork's a little better. He actually stays square, keeps his hips underneath of him, and when he recognizes pass, he's in good body position that he can open up and turn and run with that tight end. Now Harrison covers him, and that's the way the concept works is the inside linebacker opposite the tight end who's dragging, that's who will pick him up and cover him. Queen is running to center field, so he's doing exactly what he should do there. I had more positive things to say about Queen when the opposing team's quarterback was under center. I think there's some evidence to indicate he plays better when we face teams that are under center. Not sure why that is. But still, if you notice, he wasn't making plays. It's not like there were a whole bunch of plays being made by him. He wasn't in on a lot of tackles. So while I think he needs a reboot in a lot of concepts, starting with stance and then his steps, which it's a progression. If your stance is no good, your steps aren't going to be good. And then if your steps aren't good at the beginning of the play, oftentimes your steps and your footwork are poor later on in the play as well. And me saying that isn't absolving him of the responsibility of getting his body in good position to make a tackle. His coach has got to give him time to practice it, and then he's got to do it correctly. But it is a real thing. Your stance and your footwork early in the play has a direct correlation to how you finish the play. And if you don't know that, that's okay. There's plenty of things about your profession that I don't know because I haven't spent time intricately studying them like you have. So to summarize, Pat Queen has a lot to work on. Should we give up on him? Absolutely not. He's too young, got too much talent. But there is a lot of cause for concern. Let me know what you guys think of the video breakdown and how Patrick Queen has started the 2021 season.